That's a loaded question. Like one wouldn't think that, but that's definitely a hard question. I don't know. I think even being asked this like by other people, I've never been able to give a straight answer, or I never feel like I give the right answer, just because like that's just me overthinking, or I live in my head. Um,
And there is no right answer, right?
yeah, yeah. It's like taking years for me to tell myself that there is no right answer. Like I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I would say that I'm like just an ever evolving Latino male living in this world. I work in law enforcement, so that's like, it's like kind of like one of my successes and one of my hardships at the same time. And then I have other ventures, and I care about mental health, and I do my best to love people and appreciate them just the same way that you do with your podcast. Like I'm so touched by the fact that you want to celebrate everyday people, and that's amazing.
Thank you.
But in the sense of who I am, like, it's just I'm undefinable. At least for now, in this moment in time, I'm undefinable. I'm always changing. I'm always doing something to improve myself. I'm always failing, always falling. But here I am.
That's
So
great.
that's who I am.
we met in Buffalo, but I don't remember if I ever asked you this. Like where did you grow up? Where was your roots? Because I know we met in Buffalo because in college, but I don't remember like if you grew up in Bronx, Brooklyn,
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo, right? I could have been a Buffalo child the whole time.
Exactly,
I grew up in the Bronx. My parents are both of my parents are both immigrants from the Dominican Republic. So I grew up in the Bronx, St. Anne's, Mount Haven area.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I moved to Brooklyn with my wife. Well, my then girlfriend, and then she became my wife. So about 5 years ago. Once I finished like my academy in like law enforcement, I was like, I'm ready to get out of my house. I'm ready to like have my own rules and do my own thing. So me and my girlfriend moved out to Brooklyn, and she has roots in Brooklyn, so she was kind of like moving back home as well. And I've been here since.
Did you always want to be in law enforcement, and what exactly do you do, if you don't mind me asking?
I've always had this dream or idea when I was a kid, right? Like I always used to pretend like I was like in Secret Service or something. Like I used to be like, yeah, yep, I got. And I don't know where that came from. It might have been like Power Rangers, and I wanted to fight people, like just watching TV shows. But my aunt used to joke like, "You're gonna be like protecting the president of the United States one day," and that's not what I do. But it's like tied in a little bit. In short, like I work for the SWAT team of my federal agency.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's all he could say though, because
it's top secret. That's right. So you are that person.
So I guess like I'm glad that we're friends because I always go run to you. No, but
we got Rafael to protect us.
Because I'm gonna later on jump into the creative side, but this is new for me. Hearing that like the law enforcement was something that was a passion of yours. I guess what sparked that interest for you to actually take those steps, right? To do that, because you left, you graduated from college, now you're back, you're in this world, you probably taking odd jobs, trying to figure out life or whatever. What sparked that now to like rekindle that childhood thing of like, playing around and saying that you're in law enforcement? What was that point for you to be like, I actually want to dive into it and figure out a place for me in here?
Yeah. I would say it happened in college. Yeah. So like when I was in high school, I was like big into CSI. So so I was like, I want to do pathology. Like that's my thing. I want to like open up cadavers and figure out like help out with crime scene investigations and all that stuff. So when I got to college, I ended up taking like chemistry 101. I was like, all right, it's the first time that like I'm really gonna be I guess like involved in chemistry and try to like figure out exactly how this thing works. boom, pass 101, right? Chemistry 101. Easy
Yeah.
class, teach you the basics. I'm
For
like, oh,
you.
I ate
For
this.
you.
Yeah, I was like,
I just stuck it in my head. Like, for you, he said.
So boom, I aced it. I was like, all right,
Nice.
I'm gonna keep making this happen. I think come like either my freshman spring semester, or I think it was like sophomore fall semester, I took science and biology. I was like, I got this. I got this. I did terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think I got like C's in the class.
Damn, I mean, that's good for
Oh,
me.
but
I
you
take it.
like,
Those are my grades for my gen eds. I was like, yeah, see, that's all I need. I'm good. I got it.
So I took the classes. I was like, you know what? This is not for me. It drained me so much. Like and I felt like I tried at the time, and maybe I didn't, right? Maybe I, like in hindsight, I probably focused too much on wanting to hang out and easy classes and party, whatever. So I know I didn't like put my all into it, but at the time I felt like I did, right? And I was like, all right, this is not for me. I'm gonna do something that's similar, like within like the criminal field, but something that I could just like adapt to and read and ace, or at least try to ace.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'll do criminal justice. So then that's when I started to like get into it. And I would take classes. I'm like, all right, this is it. Like, I like exactly what I'm doing. I like the classes. They work for me. They work for my lifestyle. And the teachers that I would talk to were very involved, and they were very easy to talk to as well. So that's like, that kind of grew my passion and my path into getting into law enforcement. So I decided to move into that realm. I got out of college and I was like, oh, I got my 4-year degree. I'm gonna get a job right out of college, right? I was like, I'm gonna be good. I think I was maybe 21 at the time. And I'm like,
he was on the bus back to the Bronx. Yeah, hello? Yeah, got it. Yeah, Roger.
Hello, yeah. I need protection because I'm gonna be back home. So I tried to apply for like certain federal jobs while like during my senior year of college as I was ending my tenure there. It didn't pan out. So again, like you were saying, I worked a bunch of odd jobs, but still trying to figure out like, all right, what is gonna like bolster my resume? What's gonna help me get into this field? Like, so I was doing like asset protection at Best Buy, but I also did like, sales associate at GNC. And then I was also like a case manager for like a women's shelter. And then, so I'm like layering on all these things and still applying to the government website until I finally got the call, or I finally got like, continued to the process. And the process is a year and a half long.
Shit.
So it's like a long time, right? And you're there just waiting and you're just trying to forget about it, working these other jobs. And then I finally got the call. And I remember it so well. Like my wife and I, we usually go away for her birthday, like just to a different country. So we were in Thailand, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Hilarious.
And I'm on Wi-Fi, right? Like you're in the hotel, you're on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So I check my phone and then I see the email and I'm like, babe, I got the job. Like, yo, I got this job. Like I got the offer. And it's saying like, they're very quick. So they'll tell you need to respond within like 24 hours and blah, blah.
Or this email would burn and your phone would disappear and blow up.
So she's like, well, email them and just tell them that you're away. Like, tell them something. And I'm like, I just hope like they'll accept my email. Like I'm just like in my head already, overthinking, just saying.
Well, not for nothing, you're in Thailand, so you were like, yo, I wondered if Wi-Fi is really gonna stretch this.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I also want to enjoy my vacation. I don't want to like have to leave early.
Yeah.
So she tells me to email them. I email them, and they're like, all right, just let us know when you get back. Contact this person. And so
it was like, we'll know when you get back.
We'll know. We'll see. We'll see. Passport's been scanned.
Yeah.
It's back. 24 hours again. Put him on the clock.
Yeah.
But Yeah, and then that's how I got in.
Mm.
That was like back in 2016. So I
Oh
officially got on
wow.
the job. I officially got on the job at like January 2017, and I've been with like the agency since.
Oh,
So
nice.
Nice. Congrats.
yeah,
What what is it that excites you about
Law enforcement. Yeah.
law enforcement? Like, what did you? I get. You know, what, or even better, like, what did you learn about that whole process to get in? You know, and what did you learn about yourself going through that whole process of just getting in, and then of course
And the
doing
process of what you got to do.
yeah
When
the
you
process of
yeah.
doing what you got to do. I know you can't reveal details, but what did you learn though, at least about for yourself when you finally now got your foot in the door?
yeah. Wow, that's so hard because I'm still trying to learn exactly.
What you're doing in the job?
Learn exactly like what I'm doing, but not in the sense of like my job, but like my purpose
Your purpose
Mm.
there.
in my
Okay.
job. You know, there's so
That's
many
key.
like
That's
there's
good.
so many layers here, right? Yeah, because everybody works this job or whatever it is that people do in this world, right? And you think that once you get in, you're like, oh man, I got it, right? But then
Mhm.
you're in there and you're like, okay, is this all I'm gonna do? Or you know, like is this gonna be the rest of my career?
Right.
Yep.
Oh, maybe this is not what I really want to do. Maybe it's like
Yeah.
not fulfilling me as much as I want to.
Which is great questions
Yes, it
to
is.
always ask yourself, and
Yeah.
no matter what you get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like I think like working through the process, I felt like I was getting like this secret job. Like I don't know, like it invigorated, it motivated me. I was like, oh, like me. I guess like this long process is showing how trustworthy I am and how like somebody's gonna confide in me and becoming like this individual and this agency. So I felt, oh, I'm part of like the secret society. I'm cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I got
yeah.
this federal job. And then getting on the job, it's not as exciting as one may think once you
Yeah.
get on.
Yeah.
And then the process and I always try to like be the best at everything. And I know it's like I just try to have like a winning mindset.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes that bleeds over into other things, and I
Yeah.
can't always win. But just like trying to be the best. And I remember like going through that initial academy, and I was like, listen, I'm gonna be the best person physically. I'm gonna try to be the best person like educationally. Just try to like really ace everything.
Yeah.
And when I got to like my graduation of my academy, I had won like 4 awards out of like maybe 6 or 7. So I was like really
nice.
stoked. I was proud of myself. I was coming out of the academy, boom, I'm gonna show these people, like these people are gonna know exactly
Number
like,
1 draft pick.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I was the LeBron James in my class. So when I got to like, you go to the academy in like one state. And then after that, you disperse to like your field office, so to speak. So I was lucky enough to get New York as my initial
Oh wow.
and current job place.
Mm.
So in coming to like New York, I was like, all right, everybody's gonna know about me. I got all these awards. Like I'm gonna be picked to do all these things. But it was like such a long process, and people telling me you can't do this, you can't do that. You just got on. You got to put on all these years. You have to do X, Y, and Z. And it's so demoralizing because like you go in with all this motivation, and then
it's
now
like, bitch, I just got 4 awards.
Right?
It's like you didn't get none.
You want to race? I could beat you.
Yeah.
And I get you got to put in the work to earn stuff, but like you're like I am putting in the work,
Right?
And you also you're fighting against the system too. Like, you know what I'm saying? The politics of it as well. Not only the awards and stuff, the years that you have to accrue, but there's also a system in place as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And certain places, certain agencies, and not to throw race around, but that it's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And they'll pick other people who probably are in the same boat as you in terms of like experience, right? But they'll just pick them. Why? Maybe because the people in the higher chain have like a weird desire for looking at eye candy, or they have like a certain relationship with like a certain someone, and that someone's like kid, cousin, this and that, and like now you're finding not only like you're fighting the system, right? But like you're fighting your peers in a way.
Yeah.
Just like trying to like literally like if I could put it in like a visual aid, it's just like you're scratching and clawing your way up this ladder.
It's like crabs in a barrel.
And you're like getting dragged down. You're pushing and pushing and pushing. But
I feel like that's across all boards.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I believe it. Yeah. That's something that we can like many people can attest to, and we can relate on that same level. But some people, when they get to the top, they're just like, oh, I made it. So like, bye, see you later. Like, you know, now they don't want to talk to anybody. They let the power get to their head, or they let the position get to their head. I try my best to remain humble and always like help people out, just because like I know what it's like to be in that position. And if I could give a person a leg up, I would always do my best to do so.
Yeah. And thank you for blurring out all the awards you have in back of you.
Oh yeah,
for being humble. For being humble.
That's how humble you are. Actually on the floor.
It's blurring a trash bag right there, huge messes. No.
It seems like to me that like you always been like, you know, I'm still learning about you even now, knowing more about this enforcement thing that I didn't know. I guess I was just so attracted to one side of the creativity that we shared. That was our bond together. It seems like even still, like to this day, you're like you're a searcher, you're a wanderer in a way of like, once you accomplish something, you still you're not content. You continue to like search and pursue to find your place. And I guess what motivates you, what drives you to keep doing that, and when will it be ever enough, or in a sense to be like, okay, I got it, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I don't know if it'll ever be enough. Like and like the one thing I would say, the main thing that motivates me is like just to be able to provide. Like I want to provide for my wife. I want to provide for my family. Like I want to be successful, and you know, I would be remiss if I, you know, if I didn't say that I want like to be recognized in a way, and and going through therapy, that I would say that stems from like maybe childhood trauma, or like, you know, this wanting of recognition, this wanting of like being at the top, and and like being like fed all like these accolades, and I'm trying to like, you know, maintain my thought, but in like receiving all these things, and at the same time, like it's so hard for me to receive like compliments. It's so hard for me to like like for someone to say like, oh wow, yo, thank you so much for doing this. I'm like, oh, you're welcome. You know, like it's really like it's real difficult for me to just like accept for someone to like tell me something.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, because it seems like the vibe that I get is like, man, you're one, I'm proud of you, but it seems like you have done so much, but you don't give yourself enough credit, and you don't own it. And you touch something that is very crucial, especially like, you know, well, a lot of people feel this way, including me sometimes, you know, trying to chase this recognition, and it spawns from childhood, you know? You know, I guess what I'm trying to not figure out, but just say that you are a success. You definitely have paved the way for yourself, and will continue to, you know. And I think what I would love for you to realize is that if you keep on going down this path, sometimes we need to just look back and see what we accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Because you accomplished so much. You know what I'm saying? And let's be honest, in a small fucking time frame. You know, and it's great to always keep searching and always find new avenues. But sometimes we always have to ask ourselves, what are we truly searching for? And I think we need to stop giving power to these awards and accolades and things, to maybe feel like these things are going to give me importance and value in my life, or from other people. When in reality, you looking in the mirror is the best validation that you need, you know, to be like, I'm doing this for me. I'm curious to know, like, because you said it spawned from like, you know, being from childhood. what was about your childhood like? Did you have other brothers sisters that you probably was competing against, or maybe trying to get attention from family members that you wasn't getting? What is like?
Yeah. So I'm the youngest of three.
Mm,
My brother's the eldest, my sister's the middle child, and uh, I would say like my sister was like, I guess, the star child because she
yeah,
would like ace everything, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to be like that. Like I'm trying
yeah,
to be the star too. I want
yeah,
to be, and from that, like you start to grow into yourself, right? And you're like, how can I guess, make myself,
mm,
put myself out there? How do I make myself known? So then you become like, I guess in a sense, like you become funny or you
yeah,
become outgoing, right? And those like push like your characteristics
yeah,
out there, and they work to your benefits in certain
yeah.
situations. And then in others, it's just like, oh, you're too much. You're too much of a person. You're too much of this and that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like I think it was like in
Mm,
competition with my sister and trying to like reach that bar that she was, what I felt, continuing to raise, right, by my family praising.
yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
and so like when I started to, I guess, come out of my own and do my own thing, and I started to get the recognition, I'm like, yeah. So how can I continue this? How can I keep pushing this? And like that, then like you start to lose
It was a
yourself.
drug. It was a drug.
Yeah, right. And then you're like, you don't think
And it
about it.
feeds the ego.
Yes,
Mhm.
100%, 100%.
Well, we all have an ego, but that's like feeds it, and what like almost like the ego has awoken. Like it's a baby already in us, and now it's like, ooh, I like
I like
this, and
this,
it
and I
started
want more, and
growing
I want
and
more,
growing.
and I want more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's like a difficult battle within and of itself,
Mhm.
one of the
Definitely.
main reasons why I do go to therapy is because of that. It's like, realizing like where my ego stands, and
Mhm.
how it like can sometimes get in the way of repairing like hurt, or repairing like
Yeah.
certain words or certain phrases that I may say to certain people. Um, and I've grown a lot. I would say I've grown a lot in that way. But I still got a lot to go.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm proud.
We're
But
always learning and
because,
growing.
huh?
We're always learning and
yeah.
growing. That doesn't stop.
Yes.
Where did your therapy start for you,
Yeah.
and why?
It was in, I want to say 2019, the beginning of 2019.
Mm.
What do you feel was it the cause?
I felt like I was drowning in my thoughts.
Mm.
Like I just remember, I was like in the shower, and I was just like there, and I couldn't feel, or I couldn't like think straight. Like I'm like, I couldn't get my thoughts together. Like I just felt like there were
Yeah.
so many thoughts in my head going on at once, and I couldn't choose one to at least like focus on.
Okay.
And I felt like this immense pressure just started to build up, and I'm like, I need to do something about this ASAP. So I started my search for a therapist, and that's when I started to go, and like, from then I was like, wow, this is such a relief for someone to like give you all this, to give you this 1 hour, and in this 1 hour you start feeling like these blocks, these bricks start like removing itself, right? And then like the scales start coming back in your favor a little bit, right? Like all this weight is coming off, and like obviously like the scales will tip back and forth, right? Because you encounter new problems, or you encounter new situations, and you're still trying to figure out how to deal with it. But being able to talk to somebody, and being able to like have that um, unbiased opinion and unbiased information, you're just like, I feel safe. I'm in this safe space.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and
What
also
was your
I was gonna
what was
say,
your outlet before you decided to go to therapy? Was there something else? Because when mentioned that you were creative, was there something else that helped you to release whatever you were going through? Your thoughts? Did you write? Else did you do when you didn't figure out that therapy was the answer for you? Was
yeah,
there something else that you?
I would say working out was
Okay.
my therapy,
Okay.
subconsciously, without me thinking that I had a
Okay.
problem, right? So
All right.
I might have felt a certain way, or I might have felt overwhelmed, and I would just say,
yeah,
all right, I'm gonna go to the gym.
yeah,
Okay.
I think I need to work out. Like, right, that's
Okay.
like just the thought
Yeah.
process. oh, I might need to work out today. Oh, I'm gonna need to work out later. Oh, let me just go do some push-ups. Oh, I'm gonna go do some pull-ups. Oh, I'm gonna do this, right? So then that became like this unknowing outlet for like all these emotions.
And then I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like working out is great, or just doing something physical. But I always feel like it's almost like a cop out, not a cop out, but I feel like it's just a temporary band-aid, because you're gonna go do the workout and you're letting go all this thing, but then but it just like suppresses it a little bit, and then what you're feeling is still eventually in there, but just for the day, because you feel tired and you're letting it, and whatever the endorphins. I'm not a scientist, but whatever you release, all that stuff happens.
I believe it. Whatever it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and all of a sudden, like, you feel like, oh, I feel great, right? And then the nighttime comes or whatever, and the shit probably creeps up again. Or you're in the shower again, it's creeping in. And then people's like, oh, I gotta go run. Well, it's like, well, you're running away from a lot of things you haven't spoken about. I think what therapy to me gave to you was a chance to be heard, because you've been searching to be seen, to be heard, and to be acknowledged, and never had that maybe a connection with someone to actually hear you and to maybe guide you in a safe, free zone. To be like, yeah, I had those thoughts too, or this is what helped me and stuff like that. Because I know for me, when I found my spiritual teacher, I finally felt seen and heard. No judgment, no nothing. And it wasn't until then, and I had comedy, right? The comedy helped me to release. That was my form of working out. But it didn't help everything, because I still had everything that I was feeling here. And the moment I started breaking those layers and talking to my spiritual teacher about it, that's when the work started to really happen, because I felt safe, I felt heard, and I was finding solutions to these problems that I had that I was in control of, because I need to stop playing the victim, right? So what was some key lessons that you learned about yourself that helped you to this day that you got from therapy?
Patience, like being patient with yourself. Being okay with feeling what it is, what it is that I am feeling. I think that's been like major key. It's just like, listen, you're sad, you're angry, you're upset, you're happy, like feel it, like let that sit in with you, and really like understand like why it's there, where it's coming from. And not only patience with myself, but patience with others, and just giving other people the space to feel what they feel too, and not taking that away from them, because a lot of the times we push our egos and we want to tell, and I'm still learning this, but like when we do something to somebody, right, it's always we want to give the explanation to somebody, like, oh, I didn't mean to say that, or I meant to say this, or I said this because, right, but we're like trying to excuse ourselves from this hurt that we've placed on somebody else, or this whatever it is from us that we're putting on. But being able to like let somebody feel that and not taking that away from them, and also understanding like how to come to somebody in terms of like their problem, and not saying, oh, I'm sorry that you feel that way, right? Because then that's like also still putting the blame on the other person for feeling how they feel, as opposed to taking responsibility. Like being responsible for yourself, and being responsible for like how you are in this world, and what can you do? What do you want to do with your talents and your skills and your abilities? Like you have amazing things to give to this world. So like now use them, see that you have them and use them. So those are like major key points that I've learned like in therapy.
How was
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, relating to that, you say you did your research until you found something. I think that's key. What helped you to find the right therapist for you? Because a lot of people, especially men, they don't want to go to therapy, and then people who and people who do want to go to therapy, it's a challenge to find someone that I feel safe with, right? So
Yeah.
What was your search process like? What you was looking for? You know, did you slid in the DM for your therapist? Like, yo, what's up?
Did you go through
It was like, yo, what's up? What's your copay, man? You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
only got 20.
Is it zero? Because then we got something going on here. We got a working relationship.
Some people gotta go through multiple, and some people find them in the first shot. So yeah, like what was that like for you?
Well, I knew that I wanted. There were two things that like were kind of like non-negotiables for me in a way, and that was that the person was of color and that they were female.
Okay.
And
why female?
Yeah.
Why female?
Yeah.
It's
See,
so
I
funny.
look good, right?
No.
Because you don't got the copay one day, you're like, well, we'll do something else. You know what I'm saying?
I can't let my wife hear that.
No.
Don't get me in trouble, Rick. Come on.
I got it. We'll edit it out.
No, I'm messing with you. But it's so funny. I had a conversation with a coworker recently, and they were asking me the same question, and he asked me like, why female? And the reason why was because I think mainly I grew up with like my mom, my aunt, my sister. Like my brother was the eldest, so he was always doing his own thing. I really didn't have like an emotional connection with my dad, and he was always out. So I always say like he was physically there, but he wasn't there, right? So I like growing up in like with like the woman of my family and like that touch, I felt like they understood. So like also with the whole like female perspective, just maybe in my relationship and being able to have that other side, because like that's also like that was something that was difficult for me, like being present in my relationship. So like having that other side, I felt like a male would give me maybe a harder perspective, or just like you're right, or you're this, or you know, like kind of hitting my ego in a sense. I felt like a female would give me the opposite and say like, oh, well, maybe think about it in this perspective. Maybe she's thinking about it like this or like that. And just like a softer touch, I've learned as like I've gotten older, like I prefer when people say things to me, or I mean, in terms of like criticism, or I prefer for it to be like on a softer end. Sometimes like when people like when it's too hard of a criticism, I'm just like I start to back away, and then I start to shut down and like not really listen to it. And that's just like me.
But it's like it sounds like it's just your upbringing and what you feel comfortable with. So that's why you went searching for similar qualities that you was accustomed growing up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a safe zone. You know what I'm saying? A safe place.
Yes. And then also like a person of color, because I've heard stories of people who don't understand what your upbringing may be like, or don't understand like what your background is like. So like I needed that. I needed to have like that sense. And so I think I was like, I forgot exactly how, but I remember looking her up on like psychologytoday.com and reading reviews. Cause you know, like sometimes they'll have reviews on certain websites. So I'll like read reviews. I'm like, oh, she's personable, co-pays, you know, within my range. It works. She takes my insurance. Right. So, you know, I went and like, we had like a great, at first I was like, oh, I don't know if she's like the right one, because I didn't feel like she was really paying attention to the problems that I was trying to express. But you know, and me telling my wife like, hey, I found a therapist. I'm like with her, and I don't feel like she's right. And my wife was like, just be patient. She's probably just trying to get to know you. She's just like maybe just trying to fill out your story. So like in giving my therapist time, I was like, oh man, you're cool. Like, you know, like then we started to like really get into the weeds of things, and it started to like really develop into like a good therapy relationship.
You touched on something that was so great that actually made me reflect too, like why I feel so comfortable sharing with, or why I gravitated to women, not just because I like them, but like I could have those conversations with them, right? Because you said your dad was physically there but not emotionally there. I didn't really have. I had emotional attachment to like my uncle and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say like emotional, but what I'm trying to say is with the male figures in my family, I never had heart to hearts like that. So therefore, more of the heart to heart stuff I seen were around women, you know, and hearing that. So in hindsight, when I met my spiritual teacher, or if I share with other women around me that were meeting my life, I would, and a door will open, I would share. And a lot of my sharing were, thinking back now, were around a lot of women. And the men, maybe once in a blue, probably like my close friend, like, yo, you ever felt this?
Or the ones you connected with,
Yeah, like
you had a
yep. But
artistic
it
connection.
wasn't like compared to women, it wasn't that to the extreme of what I was sharing. How has that affected you with your male relationships? Did that affect you to not be vulnerable around them, like, and also not having a father around emotionally? How did that affect you growing up?
So with my male friends, I've like, I think through like a long vetting process, like I've been able to trust that, you know, they understand me, or like I could be vulnerable with them. But it's not like you were saying, like it's not that many males. Like I have like a core group of friends. I would say maybe like 3 or 4 that I know who I can go to for certain things.
Yeah.
And I know who I can like speak to like on a deeper level. And then that comes down to like maybe,
I'm trying to check if you text me. Hold on one second.
you know.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get the text. My fault. I'm not in that group. It's all good. Yeah, keep going.
I know who to come to for certain things, so you get those other texts. Right?
Okay.
It just calls you to laugh.
Yeah. No, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it's like, you know, within like the 3-4 group of male friends that I have, like I know like maybe like 1 or 2 of them I could like deep dive into it and tell them like a little bit more of like something that I'm feeling and I want to talk to. But it's not easy. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Because like you are always like maybe thinking, oh man, my friends are gonna judge me, or they're gonna look at me differently, or they're going to like, I don't know, maybe talk about me with the other guys, or something, and I not sharing that or trusting that they're not gonna share that. But I have a lot of trust in my friends, and and in terms of like my feelings with them. So, but I try to keep my circles real tight when it comes to like males and me being vulnerable and emotional. Like it's almost like at work, right? I'm in this small team that I'm on. It's all males, so I like battle with like this front, right? I feel like I'm putting up a front because like this is what my job entails, right? And like now I gotta be this person, and then when I'm home, I'm like a totally completely different person.
Does that bother you? Because
what do they call, like code switching, right?
Code switching.
Yeah. What stops you though from being who you are in that field, and like letting them just accept you to be who you are? Like you still can do your job and still be
who
you
are,
right?
Yeah.
So like what prevents you from breaking free to be who you are in your job?
So I feel like I can be myself, but maybe like 80% of the way.
Okay.
Because I feel like that other 20 is that me, like if I'm like sad or something, or if I'm upset, like I don't want to talk to anybody, or
of course,
or like, you know, I just like I wear like my emotions on my sleeve. Or like just like really talking about the problems that I'm like having. I may trust like maybe one person on the team that again like just like go a little bit deeper, but I know like what my threshold
you know your
is.
boundaries.
Of course, yeah, because you know you trust
so I guess what prevents me is just like the environment, right? It's just a very alpha male environment. Also like with the job, it's so it's dangerous at times. So like to have like this constant like cogging in your brain running that, all right, like you got to always think like safety first. You always got to like make sure like you got your partner's back. So it's like having this like hard mindset, right? I got to be hard. I got to be protective. I got to be this. I got to be that. So maybe like the chance to open up doesn't come as often either. And I'm okay with that, right? Because it just kind of prevents me also from, you know, it gives me boundaries. It gives me the time and space to do this job and then come home, be relaxed, or sometimes vent. You know,
I was just gonna ask you, like, with when you, how are you able to manage when you are at work and whatever you deal with at work, if it's something traumatic or not, and then you come home, are you able to vent about it at home or release? You have a way to release it besides your therapist? Because I know you come in and you use your wife there. So how do you
yeah.
manage that?
Yeah. is very difficult to manage. I try to,
Sure.
again, like use working out as my outlet.
Yeah.
And sometimes it builds up. And the reason why, and I've learned this about myself most recently, is like the reason why I don't like burdening people. Like I
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
this weird complex where I don't like to really like put my problems onto other people. And I
Yeah.
feel like if I share all my problems or like certain issues that I'm having, then I'm like now involving this person into that problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's one of those things where I try to find different things as my outlet. Again, working out is one of them. Trying to do this podcast is
Yeah.
another one. So like I try to like write on it and
We're gonna
utilize
get into
that
that.
space.
Yeah. And you have your own podcast, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Dude's
But
gonna go ahead.
no, I didn't know if you wanted to. I wanted to get back to the dad question
Finish what you're
too.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we got enough time. We're gonna catch up.
Yeah.
I don't care how
Let's
long this
do
shit
it.
is. Because there's something I want to touch on too. But go ahead, go.
Yeah. But in terms of like the outlet, yeah, I have my wife as well, who will sit there and listen to me and try to give me like, always try to give me like a different perspective. And like
Nice.
for that, like I'm a million times like grateful for her to be able to listen, because you know it's hard to find partners who will listen to you. It's hard to find like people who will like sit there and be with you and take your problem and say like,
Yeah.
hey, like, you know, try doing this, try doing that, like maybe not worry about it, just relax. And I need to hear those things. I need to hear to relax, because if not, my brain is like running like a million miles per hour. So I'm constantly thinking about so many different scenarios as to, you know, something so small, right? Oh, I said something to this person. They might have taken it the wrong way, or they might have thought this, or they might have told somebody else, and now this person is gonna think. So like I'm always doing this to myself.
Anxiety playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
Oh man. So it's good to have like a system at home, like a grounding system, being able to trust that. And you know, like to be open, my wife and I, we go to couples therapy, and that helps us out a lot. Just figuring out our own like trauma and understanding each other, and understanding where our love language is, and understanding like, you know, why is it that we do certain things? Why do we like get upset at certain things, right? So like they impact us very differently. So that's helped out a lot in terms of also like being able to as my release of information and seeing like in this neutral state, like how can I best like express this to you that's happening to me at work, or that happened to me to my friends, you know.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask. I'm gonna go back to the dad thing, but I want to ask you: do you feel honestly that that this job is this is the job that you found that for you? Because sometimes what I mean, enforcement is something that you want to go into, but it's like you said, you touched on, is like, well, I got my foot in the door, and it seems like to me you're still trying to find your placement within that door, within those things. Do you feel like this position that you're in is for you, and maybe that like if there's opportunities to search more within of different things? Because it seems like to me on the outside looking in, you know, it seems like you're still trying to find and it's testing things out and still trying to find your placement. And that's a great that's a great place to be, because you are aware of what works for you and what doesn't. And not every job is going to be perfect, but I feel like you know what sits well with your spirit to be like, this is the position I need to be. I'm going to learn and grow. And I know it's not going to be all roses every day, but I'm going to figure out my way no matter what. And I feel like for me, this position for you is like that. You're still like trying to find your footing, and maybe like, you know what, there maybe be some other opportunities I may want to check out over there. Because from listening to your story, I think the moment that you start, and then a lot of stories that you shared, the common thing that I'm noticing to this puzzle is that the moment you start itching away to who and what you are after all the work you have done, it starts messing with you. And because it is almost like, this is not who I am. I worked so hard to be where I'm at, right? This therapy. And now I'm at, it don't have to be this job. It could be a different job, but now, or family gatherings, right? That's that's a perfect example. Like I'm trying to fit in, so I'm only giving 60% of myself. But man, that 40% is fucking annoying me because I'm not that 40% anymore. But then you're like, thank God it's only for Thanksgiving. I don't have to see, I don't have, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to do this every day. But a job, you're doing that every day. And after a while, it builds and builds and builds. And I think what I'm trying to get to is that the moment you start shadowing away or, you know, pushing aside the growth that you worked on to be who and what you are and what you earn, and absolutely don't trust everyone in your job, because I'm the same way. I know who to share with, who not to share with, but what doesn't take away is like, I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to joke around. I'm still going to do this, because the moment I start shying away from that, then I start
what
building,
you're learning is
I start
going back. You're going backwards,
and I start building up a storm, and I start feeling uncomfortable within me because the new me that I worked on, the old me is clashing. So I went on this tangent. So I say that to say, I say that to say,
trying to jump in.
I say that to say, are you in a place of still
figuring things out?
Figuring out to be in a place where you could fully be you, where you don't have to wear a mask and take it off, you know? Because I think what serves you the best is when you at your true authentic self all the time. You know?
I definitely feel like I'm getting there. Like I try to I do my best to take like the small steps when I'm in situations where I know like my old self would say, it's okay, like you could just leave it, you could just drop it, you don't gotta say anything, you know. But like this growth, this part of me is like, nah, it's okay, like share it, like say something, be honest, be authentic, let them know how you feel, try to be, but say it in like in a respectful way, you know, like so like I'm just trying my best. Like I definitely feel like I'm getting there. I definitely feel like it's I'm pushing the boundaries. I'm making myself uncomfortable a lot more often, because that's what's gonna make me be like 100% of this new self, this new growth that I'm involving in my life.
How do you feel when you do that? Like when you trying to be,
I feel like I'm like, this is like, you know, like
that's what I'm trying to get at. There.
Yeah, no, feeling.
You saw it.
Man, I would have made the exception of making you my therapist, right?
There's no copay. I'm free, baby.
That's right. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, but that's what that light that I just saw in you was like, yo, when I take those moments and well, how do you feel when you take the moment? I was like, wow, I feel great. Like, and I think sometimes it's not sometimes always about being heard. It's like half of it is like being heard, but also the other half is like saying what you need to say when you need to say it, and not being afraid to say it or be judged by it. It's like, okay, it's out my mouth. I did filter it, but it's out my mouth now, and I got it out. And I think what I want for you is for you to, and then you, like you said, you're taking the steps, is to keep on acknowledging that and honoring that, to keep doing it. Because look, at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your fucking journey. For you to suppress all that for other fucking people, for like, you know what I'm saying, for so many fucking years, the suppress, they're not paying your bills. They're not going to be in your fucking deathbed when it's time for you to go to your home. And you know what I'm saying? And then that's when
putting in the work you putting on yourself.
Right. And that's when a lot of people want to talk, when they're about to fucking die. They know when to go and everything's coming out, not knowing that we already have a death sentence, but we just don't know when. So we should start letting the shit fucking out, so we have less baggage that we take back home with us. So
I appreciate it. No, I mean, like, listen, in hearing you guys talk to me and like giving me all this information, I feel like every moment is like a therapy session, and like,
and it's true.
I love it.
You learn from everyone.
I appreciate you guys like caring so much to, you know, push my boundaries and push me to see my true self. You know, and at times like it is very difficult, but I'm gonna take this and I'm going to like now utilize this like every single day of my life. Nice. And it's these small moments. It's this type of connection and these types of things where, you know, we go back and we start talking, and we're adults now, in a way, and right, we get to like really express how we feel and really tell each other like, you know, this has been going on X, Y, and Z. Taking this information and everything that you're saying right now and putting that into what I'm gonna do later on in life. You know, I just want to say I appreciate you guys. I just want to take that moment.
I appreciate you too.
I love it. I love the energy that you guys exude.
Thank you.
What have you been doing?
Oh, wait, back to your dad.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. What have you?
Okay.
I was gonna do the segue right there. I was gonna slip it right there. What have you been doing, or what helped with you to start healing the trauma of not having a dad that's been emotionally there? We both have similar dad stories in the sense of like we had daddy issues, right? And we've both been affected by it. But then there comes a day that we have to realize that we got to take responsibility and learn from this trauma to start healing it, because we can't leave it in their hands, because they're not going to do it. They're not there, and at the same time they're not going to do it. And even if they tell us sorry, it's going to probably heal maybe 15% of the scar. The other, I'm not good with math. What's that? 85? Whatever.
That's good. No, good math.
Thank you, man. I'll take it. I need an award. Send that. I need that award.
75.
So pay zero, right? You can't.
That's a good one. That's my shit's always free. I don't know how to do fucking math to do the bill, send the invoice.
I can't do the math right now, so it's just it'll be zero, right? It's free.
That's funny. What were the steps you took to heal from this trauma of not having a dad that you wanted, around, that wasn't available, and what you needed in a dad figure?
Yeah. Honestly, it took my wife to push me, because so in my younger years, my dad was like, he was in my house, right? Like, not in my house. He was in the home, but again, he wasn't emotionally available. And everything was very like, you know, Dominican dads, right? Everything's strict. Everything is like this, that. You don't do this, you don't do that. And, you know, spending more time with my mom, it's like I saw like a different side, like, and I'm like, I don't want to do whatever it is that you're telling me to do. And he wanted me to play baseball. He was like pushing his dreams on me, right? Yeah. And I remember being young, and he would say like, oh, you could be like this $1 million baseball star and all this, right? So he was like pushing this on me, and that's not what I wanted to do at the time, but I didn't want to disappoint. And then there came a moment where I said, hey, like, I'm not going to play baseball anymore. And he was like upset.
To me.
Oh man, it was like a death sentence.
Yeah.
You do it, damn
it. Right? No, you're going to pick up that glove and go play some baseball. What you going to do? But I'm about to throw the ball at you right now. So like I had a lot of tough moments with my dad, just growing up, and things that like I definitely like didn't forgive him for. As I've gotten older, again, my wife, he like seeks me out more now.
Yeah.
Okay. So he'll seek me out, and he'll like call me, and there are times where I will not pick up the phone. Like I see the call and I'll just let it ring, right?
Now,
because
so like, there it is.
Here's a good question, because I went through that. Are you not picking up out of anger, or you just like just don't feel like to pick up because you healing and there's really no connection there, right? Because I had the same thing with my dad. And
but I have a question. Did you ever confront your dad about how you feel about you, how you feel about him? And did you ever forgive? Because our spiritual teacher always taught us that forgiveness is about forgiving yourself for allowing that person to take your power. So did you ever have a chance to do that for yourself, one? And did you ever have a conversation with him about how you feel? Did you ever have that?
It has always been difficult to express to my dad how I feel. I've tried to take small steps, like, you know, maybe say something that he might hear and like it will trigger him to say something. And I'm like, all right, like I got to scale it back then, you know, like like trying to like reach that threshold with him. I've like already placed it in my mind. I'm like, I already know how he's going to react if I tell him X, Y, and Z. So like, I kind of like do leave it alone. And then on that other end, for myself, I don't pick up not because I'm angry. Like I don't feel it at being angry, right? I look at the call and I'm just like, I'll call him back later.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have like this huge sigh because I feel like it's always a mission to talk to him. And sometimes like if we haven't spoken in a while, he'll say, oh, like he'll try to put the blame on me, right? Like, oh, like you don't want to talk to me, you don't call me, you don't X, Y, and Z, and I don't want to go through that, right? Like I just want to I want to pick up and you just say like, hey, I'm glad you picked up, right? You know, like something like very simple, but that's me just wanting it the easy way. I'm sure.
But I mean, at the same time, it's like, who wants that? Who wants to call somebody and be like, oh, you haven't called me? How about, like, I have best friends for 25 years. We don't talk to each other for months, but when we get together, it's like it was the last time. So like, who wants somebody to tell you, oh, why didn't you call? How about, oh, how you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have every right to feel the way you do.
Absolutely. And I also think there comes a time that, I don't know if you have reached there. I'm just saying this because I'm talking about my own experience with that. I think it comes a time that you just have to accept. You have to accept the relationship that you do have with him, and accept his journey, and put and we don't. It's like in order for us to heal, we have to put ourselves in their shoes, right? Not giving them exemption for what they have done, but they was not taught any other way how to be a dad but the way that they knew by their fathers, and so on, this trauma that they carry on for generation. So but for us, we're in control of our healing, so we have to put ourselves in their shoes and then accept them for who they are, and then stop crucifying them for a relationship of what we wanted, where that's not going to happen, right? The moment we stop doing that, then we'll find peace in that. And then that phone call will not feel like a dreadful thing. It will just feel like a job. Okay, he wants to reach out. I appreciate that he still wants to reach out some type of way, because there's fathers that don't want to reach out at all. This is
the type of
at a scale of 1 to 10 of a father that I want. He's giving me 4. I'm just gonna meet him at 4 and live with that 4 for the rest of my life, and that's it, because it's nothing more. Another thing I want to mention, which is something that I learned from my spiritual teacher that helped me when I confronted my dad. I went to go find him. He not the other way around. I went to go look for him. I wrote a letter of how I felt. And I was in a similar situation with you. And I wrote a letter to my mom too, right? I couldn't really have to sit down. I felt awkward or whatever, but I got the courage to end up doing it. So I say this to say, I think you should, and this is a lesson that I learned from my spiritual teacher, Guru Enlightenment, as well.
Same thing too.
Write a letter to your father expressing everything how you felt and what you feel. It's not about making him feel like shit. It's facing your truth and letting your truth come out, right? So therefore, maybe you'll visit him, or maybe you'll pick up the phone and you'll just have a moment, right? You just say, listen, I've been going to therapy and they told me to do this exercise to write everything I want to feel. And I just want to share this with you. I don't need to know explanations of X, Y, Z, why you did things. I don't need to know, how you feel. If you want to share afterwards and you know what kind of response you're going to get, anyway, it doesn't matter, right? You already know, you're preparing yourself for that. But it's not about him. It's about you to let go out of the system, to tell him everything that you wanted to say to him. And even though it's a difficult conversation, you'll have that letter in front of you because you planned it out, you wrote it, and you have this freeing moment. And whether he accepts it or not, it's not about that. It's about you accepting it and letting go and forgiving yourself and say, I did it. I shared my truth. I let it go. And then a week later, he might call you and forget about that whole fucking scenario. But at least you have that moment. It's about you to let go. Because I think that's like one of the key things that you need to do for you, not for anybody else, but for you. You need to have that conversation with him. Not even like you need to speak your truth to him. Not even he doesn't even need to say, "Oh, but I did this because." But I
get it.
And you just say, "Look, I've been going to therapy." And they told me that I had to do this, and I want to do this for me, and I just want to share it. I just want to hear it. I don't need no feedback. And then afterwards, we can talk about baseball, whatever. But you know what I'm saying, like, and that's it. Done.
for me, when I had to do a letter to my dad, I discovered something that I didn't know that I had let go. I thought I let go of something with my dad, and I discovered this when we had our daughter. And I, my spiritual teacher, I was talking to him for for years, and then through our sessions, I was like, why is it that I have this issue with men?
Yeah.
And I'm better off single. I told her sometimes I'm better single. And
It's too late. We
something
got married.
I know, but but we uncovered something. It had to do with my dad. It had to do that my dad wasn't emotionally I wasn't emotionally connected with my dad. He wasn't the type that would, talk to me about dating, anything like that. He was a provider, and I
Yeah.
always wanted to his attention.
Yeah.
So I didn't learn about self worth or anything through my dad. I had to learn that on my own. So with that said, she told me write the letter of how you feel with that situation, but don't for you don't need to share that with him because he's already at a stage in his life that's how he's gonna be, and he's probably not gonna get it.
Yeah.
So, but do it for you. Do it for you. You write it down and you let it go. And that was how I dealt with that particular situation with my father.
That's so powerful. These
Yeah.
situations. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm definitely gonna do that, and then we're gonna need a part 2 so that I can tell you
Yeah.
guys exactly, like, give you the
We'll
recap.
have a part 2.
Bro.
Yeah, well,
Bro, let me
bring you back.
you know what's like I think you should do it, and I think that's powerful. And I think you will get a lot of help from that.
Yeah.
Just because I got the lesson through my spiritual teacher, and then I saw the results because I actually had to do it. I did it for my mom, and I did it for my father, and I did both of them like face to face. I didn't just write it and then didn't say it to them. I wrote it and then I went to them face to face and said it. My mom, it was great. We both cried. We had a great moment. But then the relationship went back to where it was in the sense of like, not saying that it was horrible, but it was like, I'm still that child to her. You know what I'm saying? And but I to this day I could say that like I did it, and I don't have anything that I'm holding on per se of like that I wish I would have said something. I should have said that to her.
Yeah.
My dad, on the other hand, right, different story. I spoke to him on the phone, shared everything. He didn't really have a comeback, And then probably a couple days later, we speak again, and then he starts asking for money, like I'm this rich guy. So then, so then I'm like, really? So then I'm like, I'm getting, a new anger is rebuilding inside of me because now I'm like, what the fuck? I was kind of like maybe hoping for a different scenario, and then I had to relearn from that and heal from that I'm not that kid anymore. And then now the relationship is no. I said I don't have any money, but the relationship is he ends up calling, and I'll pick up, and we chat for what it is. Because for a while after that, I wouldn't pick up the phone because I was angry too. Because I'm like, no, fuck out of here. You're only calling for money, or like now that you know that the money's not there, we're talking about the same shit over and over. But then I healed from that. I had to learn from that. Worked on it with Guru. And now when he calls, I pick up. Hey, what's up? How you doing? And it's the same conversation that we had a month ago. He was saying, and I just accept it for what it is. Like, cause he doesn't have power control of me. I let it go, and I accept him for what it is, and that's it. I don't feel mostly connected to him as a father. He just was a donor. To me, he's just one of those. He's like a friend that calls every now and then, and that's it, and that's fine. I wish I would have had a father figure, but in this life, I wasn't blessed with that. But I was blessed with other positive male role models that taught me fatherly things that I'm blessed for. Or having a friendship like you, a man to man talking. Those little things will fulfill this void. It will never be fulfilled having a father because I will always want that. But it's the lessons of being what he was supposed to taught me are being replaced by other male friends, companionships, and male role models.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
I can't ask anything more for that. Because there's people that have that void and don't have male companionship or friends. So I got to look at the brighter side, that
Blessings.
I didn't lose anything. He lost. I gained.
Exactly.
A lot.
And you also have to look at the relationship as like in my case with my father, I didn't need to tell him because throughout my life and as he's gotten older and as I've gotten older, I can see where where he knew where he felt like he kind of failed.
Yeah.
And he's trying to give back. So he is in my life. He does call me. Our daughter, forget it, is so connected to him that it's amazing to see.
That is
So
great.
with that said, like when I had to deal with that part that I didn't even know I had, it wasn't for me to tell him because I already knew what he was doing and how he grew up. I knew how his father was and his mom. So I got to see him as a human being, like our spiritual says, look at them for humans as they are, not as your parents.
Yeah.
So with that said, I didn't feel like I had to bombard him with this. This was my problem that I had to deal with.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
and I just feel
it's back to you.
But
we ain't gonna talking about ourselves.
And I
no, but it's so good. Like this is.
But
like
I feel
it's a conversation.
But I feel for him is very effective if he writes the letter first for him, right? For himself.
Yeah.
He's gonna cry. He's gonna laugh. He's gonna go through all these emotions that he needs, right? And then since he has this common thing of wanting to be heard since young and be seen, he's going to take the next fucking big step and do this for him to be like, I'm not that little fucking kid anymore.
Yep.
I'm a grown man. I'm learning. I'm growing. I make mistakes, but guess what? I'm taking fucking responsibility and I'm using my voice. So now this is another powerful step for him because now he's not looking for approval. He's not looking for acceptance. He says, I just want you to hear my words because you're going to see me for this moment, whether you want or not, as a human adult, as a grown man, as your son. And I'm speaking my truth, just like your dad has his truth.
Yeah.
Right? And by all means, his truth is his truth.
Yeah.
But you are speaking your truth. And then you're kissing that little kid goodbye so he can continue to grow on.
Actually, not even kissing him goodbye, embracing that kid.
Yeah, embracing it. You go, embracing that kid.
You're embracing your child.
Knock this letter out the park.
Run with that letter.
That's right.
Please let us know. When you decide to do it, please.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm definitely going to let you guys know. I feel like starting this like tomorrow. Start writing down. I already have like thoughts in my head. Like as you're like talking and it's like, oh yeah, like that's what I'm gonna tell him. Yeah, I'm just gonna let him know everything. And
nice.
I think that's so good. Like and we all like as we get older or like as we grow up, like we have all these false expectations for our parents, right? Like that they should be this and they should be that, or by the way that we've grown up, or by the way that we're growing, and they should acclimate to that. But I think letting go of that is like such an important piece to that growth. It's such an important piece to like you doing it all for yourself. And I think this for me, it will also probably push that growth part of me, right? More so into like that 100%. Like that's a part of it.
Definitely.
And you're gonna continue working on that, right?
Yeah.
But you're gonna feel this big chunk of it just fade away because you dissolve, right? And then you always gonna have this little piece that you're working on, right? Because let's say there's 10 conversations, 8 out of those conversations you've done well accepting him, but then the last 2 is like, this motherfucker really, like, you know what I'm saying? And then you can remind yourself like, okay, this is who he is, you know what I'm saying? It's just a work in progress, but it's gonna become less and less.
Yes.
Now, how has the podcast helped you?
And how did that come about?
Yeah, how did that come about? What is it about? What is this idea for the podcast? What sparked it?
Go
now.
Right?
You go on for a whole hour explaining everything about
this. So my podcast,
tell us the name for our audience.
It's called Reminded. It came about because I've always wanted to do a podcast. I've always wanted to like speak out, whether it was in stories of like situations that I've had with friends. And I had always tried from the beginning. I don't know, like, I can't remember the exact year where it sparked, but I was like, oh, I want to do a podcast with like my friends from college. And like, let's just like sit around and talk about all our funny stories. And like, we'll just like keep doing it. But like always trying to find somebody to do a podcast with is like the hardest thing. Like sitting down and finding schedules, not answering texts, and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna find somebody else, and like trying to find somebody maybe who's like a family member. Like, oh, come on, like, you know, a cousin, hey, yo, let's do this podcast. Oh, that sounds great. Let's get like the materials for it. All right, perfect. When you want to meet? No answer. When you want to meet? Oh, I can't. When you want to meet? Maybe I'm available this day. And you're like, this is gonna happen again.
Don't
right?
leave your destiny in somebody else's hands.
Just do it.
You're in control. You have to do it. I
Yes.
learned that firsthand. Fuck that. Do my shit. Go ahead.
So I was like, you know what? I was gonna do it by myself. That's it. Like, what's it gonna be about? And you know, and going through the process of like mental health and like, you know, anxiety and all this stuff and going to therapy, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make it about that. And I want to gear it mainly towards like male Latinos, right? Because like that's the demographic that has a difficult time talking. That's the demographic that has a difficult time accepting certain things or a lot of things for that matter. And again, my wife is like my driving force in a lot of the things that I do. So she's just always like, just do it yourself. Like, have faith, have confidence in yourself, like, and just do it. Don't worry about, you know, like, write and record. And she's like giving me all this like organization. She's like, here's this planner. When you gonna do your podcast? Do this.
Shout out to your wife, bro.
Right? So she's like telling me,
awesome.
write your episodes out, like do it. And so she's 100% like my driving force and like getting it done.
Woo-hoo!
But it's been like so hard in getting it done too, right? Because like I'm just like trying to like battle with myself and what time do I have, or am I saying the right thing, or am I writing the right thing down? So just trying to get over that hump. But back to like the basis of the podcast, and that's just to make it comfortable for guys to just have a conversation and say like, yeah, I'm having a problem with this, I'm having a problem with that. Like yesterday I felt like breaking down, or like I feel like breaking down right now, or you know, like we try to stray away so much from like this like sadness, as if like that's just taboo, right? But no, it's like a part of human life. It's a part of you, and I think it's okay for you to feel that. It's okay for you to even express that, even if you don't want to feel that in the moment. Just say it. So I did want to gear it towards, you know, the male Latino population, but yes, but also like share stories of my childhood and my life and how I've grown and what I've been thinking, and in hopes that, you know, and it doesn't have to be a male, female, they, you know, who, what, where, why, when, like anybody in this world, like I just want to be able to impact them in any way, shape or form. And if it's one person or if it's 10, I'm satisfied. I'm happy.
That's
you know? So that's like the basis of my podcast. And again,
how fulfilling did you feel like doing the process of doing it? Like how the process of doing it, what did you take away from it, you know, to do this?
Yeah. Every episode, like it's almost like a whole, like a therapeutic session for me. And being able to also reiterate like what I've learned in therapy and putting that like on my screen when I'm typing it out also gives me a moment to reflect. Because like when we're in therapy, you'll like talk about certain things, and like the therapist will, you know, give you like the inside scoop on like why you felt this way, or you start breaking everything down, but it's so much to try to remember. That afterwards you're like, damn, what was it that she said or he said? And oh man, like and then you just kind of hope that you get better or you do better the next time without
Can you record your sessions or no?
I was gonna ask just that. Can you record your sessions?
I never have done it. I've never asked that.
You should.
That's a good idea for me.
Yeah,
because I mean,
listen back.
Yeah, an hour is a lot to fucking remember. We're human.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm gonna get on that. See, yeah, this is I can tell you guys exactly what I remember from my therapy session.
Yeah.
But I do, like, there are certain pieces that I do remember. And so like I'll start typing about another topic. I'm like, oh, this is what I remember from therapy. So like then I'll start integrating it into the episode. So then when I see it,
you're learning even more.
Yeah. And I feel like at those moments is like, that's when like the growth happens, right? It's like I look at it and I'm like, wow, like this is how I should be doing things, or this is how I should look at it, or this is how I should react, or this is the information that they were trying to relay to me. And it the aspect of the episode, like it becomes broader, right? It becomes like now, like I think other people, it becomes clearer now. Other people are going to be able to hear and listen effectively to what I'm trying to get out. Because I don't feel like I always, say things correctly, or I don't feel like I say things sequentially. Like I'm always just I'm very puzzling. I always talk here, then down here,
That's
then
me.
there, right? Like, it's so hard. Like I'm like,
I do that.
did I get I always have to tell people. So did you get it? Did you get it? Like, did you get it? Did you get my point? Did I get it across? And people will say, yeah. I'm like, oh, good. I'm not as crazy as I think I
am. I was gonna ask, how has the reaction been for, I guess, other people who have heard it, maybe see this other side of you that they probably didn't see, or learn something new that you shared from your life that they didn't know?
The reception has been like amazing. Very, very supportive. Constantly asking like, when's the next one coming out? Like, when are you gonna come out with more episodes? Like, I want to hear more. Like, you have such a great voice. You have like such a great story. Like, I love like where you're going with this, and that is definitely like a part of like the motivation that I have to continue this and see it through.
I think
kudos to you for doing it, for not relying on anybody and speaking your truth on your own podcast and just going ahead with it. So
I was gonna say, you know how like you always go running when you need to go running? Oh no, work out to release something. Try replacing it with doing the podcast. See how you feel. When you really need to, like, I gotta work out because something is about. Try working. Try switch that now to like, let me take this what I'm doing and make it to a podcast. Because that can help you in that moment, right? Let go whatever you're going and not worry about. Well, this episode is supposed to be about this. No, let it be about whatever you need to release.
It's organic.
In that moment, it's organic. And it might be happening every 3 days for you, right? Because you have so much in your head.
Well, you have episodes.
And then you're collecting all these episodes, and it's painting without you even knowing, it's painting a picture, and it's leading you to somewhere that you need to be.
That's dope.
So try replacing the still work out, but try like, what I'm saying, but like, don't get fat. now you're gonna be like, it was like, I gained 50 pounds thanks to fucking win, but I feel free as a motherfucker because I've been doing episodes.
I'll be typing, just doing some like,
but try to mix like the workout with this podcast episodes. You know what I'm saying? And see, right? Just try it out as experience. See where that's like. Motherfuckers, doctors be like, take this pill, see how you feel. That's your pill. Try this,
Podcast.
Definitely. What I was gonna say. Oh, you had anything to say about that?
I was gonna respond and say like, I think this is one of the main reasons like why I gravitated so much to you like in class and in college and like outside of like our classes, our interaction was limited just because like we had different circles, but I did feel like when we did see each other, it was very welcoming and it felt very safe. It was like a very safe zone. And I felt like I love, and I still do love the energy that you provide in the sense of like, you make people want to be themselves, like be their authentic. You force them to be their authentic selves because you're your authentic self, and you're also very accepting. Like, yeah, go ahead. Like, whatever it is that you want to say.
Pull your dick out. I don't care, bro. Like,
right?
Have fun. It's free. Be free. Like,
pull your dick out.
And like from like that male perspective, like you need that in order for you to be like 100% your true self. You need for to be in that safe zone. I want to be able to like give that to people, give that safe zone. I feel like I do from my perspective. I feel like when I have a conversation with like male friends or male coworkers, like I could see like their walls breaking down. And like they're them like pushing like a boundary that they don't probably see every day. And I'm like, like in my head, I'm like, yes, like, and not in the sense of like, yes, I got the story out of you, but yes, like I'm so happy to see you push yourself. Right. Like, and I won't say it because I think like everybody has their own journey to see it for themselves and see like where they want to be and who they should be. But for me, I think that's so fulfilling to be able to see that and give that to somebody that, you know, was given to me and continues to be given to me.
Yeah. Cause cause you feel and you felt how powerful that is, you know, to be seen, to be heard, to talk, to not be judged, to just, you know, you felt how powerful that is and what it did for you. So of course you want to pass that on to others too, you know, and that's how you learn and grow by sharing through different experiences, you know. I think that's amazing, especially what you're doing with this podcast. And I think for me, like, what gravitated me to you was like you nailed it, was like having that that zone where some days we crack dick jokes, but then some days we just talked some real shit. Like we had a heart to heart, you know, and we just talked about what was going on, or you know, for me, like I felt like we met for a reason, you know. Of course everything has a purpose, and our friendship started in an acting class, but I'm just like so like one, like so happy for you, so amazed by you, but I just only knew one side of you. I just knew you as Rafael the actor, right? Like, because for me, from what I saw when you perform and when we were sharing, we had this connection with creativity. I felt like I was married. I was like, I thought I knew you, but like, but I felt like I in that world we was in with creativity, I thought I knew you in the sense of like, yo, I look at him like he's an actor. Like even to this day, if people would ask me or whatever, like, how do you know Rafael? Like, he was in acting class. He's an actor, right? And here I am learning about you. There's other fucking layers to you that I didn't fucking know. So I want to know what made you choose, because we met, just for listeners, we met in acting class in college. What made you choose an acting class, and how, well, I don't know what drew you to taking an acting class, or want to learn and do monologues, because that's what I knew you as, an actor. not all this other shit, which is great, but
not
I'm
all
like,
this other shit that I'm
like,
I
feel like this guy been living different lives behind my back.
That's why he's in law enforcement.
I'm a birthday cake, all right? We'll just get down to the core. So I always I enjoyed theater. When I was young, I was a churchgoer, you know, and that was like how I grew up. And I remember they were like, oh, we need somebody to do like this rendition of like, you know, some like religious story. So my mom volunteered me. She was like, oh, you know, I think you could do it, so go ahead. And they're like, all right, we're going to try you out. And it wasn't like something major. It wasn't like a Broadway play or anything. It was literally maybe like 5 minutes worth of like a little parable. So, but I did it. And man, everybody was always like, wow, you're so good. You're such a, in my jump, probably like, I don't know, 9, 10 years old. And everyone's like, wow, you're so good. Like,
you're getting
so
that acknowledgement.
Right? That's what it was. So I was like really feeling it, but I also felt like the role, or like just doing that, like playing and acting was like so much fun. I was like, oh, I could do this. Like I could see myself do this. And then when I got to college, I knew that I wanted to focus on law enforcement, but I did want to explore that creative side. And I said, you know what? I'll do a minor in theater. So that, you know, that class was like one of the electives that I decided to take in order for me to fulfill that requirement. And I took jazz class when I was jazz class when I was in college. I went to class like, you know, wearing spandex for the first time and like dancing, but I had so much fun. Like it felt so freeing, and like, you know, I would come back to
none of this. Here I am. I was like, man, why you gave up your dream being an actor? Because nigga, I have other dreams too. Like I was like,
he was a dancer too, huh?
Wow, I did not know. Wow. How was that for you, being dancing, in spandex and dancing? Isn't that because I know every acting served a purpose, podcast served a purpose, law enforcement, like therapy, everything serves has a layer. And how was that jazz different? What did it feed you in that moment?
Right.
That's so hard to like answer. Like, right.
She's a dancer, so she'll relate.
dancer, actor, singer, I did it all.
Ooh, okay. And we gotta
I
go
do it
dancing
all.
together.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are married. Oh, we could do the
Oh.
Jada
We
and Will
can do
Smith
what?
wife swap.
Right?
They swingers.
Yo, wife swap.
What?
That was such a funny show.
Yeah.
Oh man. I used to love dancing when I was a kid. I think I would say that I was the life of the party. Younger, like, dancing bachata, merengue, salsa, like, or whatever. Like, I used to love breakdancing or just like trying new things. So that class was a way, a sense of, again, freeing. It was a way to like throw that out there, like, man, what would it be like if I took this class, if I took this structured dance class, if I explore like a different part, right? Like, how is it going to affect me, or can I utilize this as a way to make other people feel comfortable? And that's, in hindsight, that's probably what it was. It was like, I myself, I could go party with you guys on the weekend, right? Showing like my roommates, like I could party with you guys on the weekends, but I could also dance during the week and spandex and and unfortunately, like, there's always like this stigma, I think, connected to acting and theater, especially like in college. I experienced a lot where it was like
they thought you was gay.
Yeah. So like people thought like, oh,
that
like
goes way back, in elementary school, high school.
Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, anybody can do this. You could, like telling my friends, like, you can act, you could dance. Like, it's not anything that should be, oh, only gay people do this, or only females do it, or whatever. So like, I felt like, man, like it feels so good to integrate kind of like two worlds, right? And show my friends like, yep, I'm gonna wear spandex in class. I'll be wearing it back. And then I'm gonna have a beer with you when I get back. And we're gonna go party on the weekend.
And I'm gonna eat vagina because I like women. I'm not gay, but my classmates are gonna suck a dick too. But I'm just gonna eat a vagina. But no, I totally get where you're coming from too, because I had that stigma too, where I feel like I have female traits, or I'm open, and I was around the creative people, and I will go, and I felt like every time I went like to a theater thing, it was women and gay people, and but I'm like, I was like probably the only straight one there, like from a male side or whatever. I'm like, but I felt comfortable. I was like, well, because I just saw this as an outlet for me, and I loved it. It was a passion, and I could still, like you said, hang with my boys in the block, have a beer and stuff like that. And then I'm like, yo, man, I'm gonna go cry and write this monologue. Be back, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go cry this monologue.
So it's just like, and I guess making this connection, looking back, or just seeing that, like, it seems like, I don't know, not that women are more open, but what I'm trying to say is like, we have the stigma like with men.
I think it's society.
Society. They put this thing where men are not supposed to share this thing, but it is freeing, and you don't have to be gay to do it, to be in tune with your feelings, or, you are comfortable in your own skin, that you are around with other people who believe in different things or do different things outside of this class that doesn't have to be pertained to you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm here because we love it.
What did acting and dancing bring to you? Like, if you could think of one word, what did that bring to you?
Oh, joy. Like, it was like, I have dreams to this day. I'm like, oh, one day someone's going to notice me. One day I'm going to be in the street, or one day I'm going to like say something and someone's going to be like, you know what? You should be on a TV show. Or I'm like, I got you. I'm your guy. I've even thought about just like, maybe one day I'll like take headshots, or like I'll like just try.
Would you like to pursue it? Now,
I would. Yeah. Like, as like a side project, or like a creative side. Like, I would definitely love to, I don't know, like be on screen and like get a script or do whatever. Like, so
do it, man.
What made you, I guess, not that maybe just subconsciously you just put a stop to it, but what made you like put a hold on the spandex and the acting?
The spandex. I still do the spandex at home. I'm wearing spandex right now. Some would say my tight jeans are spandex, though, but tomato. I guess like just focusing on that law enforcement aspect, like really put a hold on to it. Just it was always like in the back of my mind, but that always took priority, right? And just trying to hone that craft, and again, because there was like this lack of satisfaction within the job, it's always like what's next? What am I attaining? What's my next goal? Like, how do I need to prepare for that? And then, not really finding the time, or my schedule didn't really work with finding the time to do other creative things. And I've been blessed being on this team that I'm on now, with having like a little bit more freedom with my schedule. So that allows me to do the podcast as well. I feel like maybe now in this point in my life, I'm able to lift that hold a little bit more and, free the spandex and go out there. What's so funny? Speaking of spandex, actually, when I was younger, when I was in middle school, we used to have like these Christmas shows, and I always used to be the elf. But I would be happy to be the elf, and I would put on green spandex and like shorts and like a whole outfit in order, and I wanted to play that role. I'm like, I'm down for it. Let's do it.
I want to say too, like, man, now that you have more time, always make it a priority to never let go of that creative side, because. And you have you have that law enforcement, like just like I have a career, my 9-to-5 job, but it's always remember that that's not us fully all the time, and that we are creative people. So we need that outlet. It's very important for us to be creative, because we come from that, and we have it within us for a reason. We came into this world with that, so we can't. If we stop that, then we suffocate ourselves. And we do more damage. We're not who we are. We do more damage because we are walking away from this gift that we have, that we're in, this passion and what we love to keep doing, in that joy. So always remind yourself to find a way and to keep being creative, because we need that and you need that.
Thank you. Always remind the podcast. See, remind. See? That's why I came up with a title too.
And your podcast too is part of your creative self too.
Yes. It's definitely the extension of the creative side that I want to put out there. And also like being able to look at things and like do it myself is very eye-opening. Like, oh man, I'm editing by myself, or like I'm like doing like this logo by myself, and seeing that and having this conversation just kind of makes it more eye-opening to appreciate like that creative side, and see like you are capable. You are this, right? You are much greater than what your 9-to-5 is.
Yep.
Nice. So with that said, do you have another question?
No, we're coming to a close. We could talk after once we're done, but we're coming to a close.
We're gonna go to the next and last segment. Okay. So with this segment, we just pull out a card of a stack of cards here, and we ask you 2 questions. I don't know what the card says, so I'm gonna ask you the first question.
Yeah, we call the segment "Let's Look Inside," but we just forget about to say the segment.
Right. I always forget the title. I just like the next segment. So let's look inside. Let's look inside, Rafael. First question: who was your first true friend?
Well, let me answer that for you. It was in college. We was in college.
That's right. We were in acting class. I was doing a monologue. I would say that my first true friend was probably my sister.
Okay.
Just because I felt like she looked out for me a lot when I was younger, and I confided in her to always like be that figure. If I couldn't go to like my mother with something, she would always be there and like, and give me that guidance.
Yeah.
So I would say my sister.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the last question is, how will you, or did you know you are in love?
Wow. To my wife, or to...
It could be to
No, that's a great question, because we fall in love with many things, right?
You fall in love with yourself. You fall in love with your wife, your mom,
passions, your
Yep.
So
you could pick to what you want to answer that question.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Well, I guess I could generalize it in a sense, like when do I feel I'm in love with something?
Okay.
I would say I'm in love, like I feel the love when I feel like the weight of the world has been lifted off my shoulder. The creative side, like the creativity, allows for me to free that side, right? And the burden or the weight of that no longer serves me. In love with like my wife, just like my trauma, she lifts that burden, and she doesn't allow me to be those things. So that's that's where I feel the love, and I believe so much in energy. So like when you feel like that energy, and like it doesn't have, sometimes the energy is not always there, right? Or you don't feel like the energy is as powerful. But it's like, for lack of better words, like that zap, when you feel like that zap, that one hit of electricity, you're like, it's there. Like, it makes me feel like very giddy inside, and it makes me want to just like burst out in song and into like a Broadway theater, right? Like
pull those spandex out.
Put those spandex on. Yes, those are the moments that I feel in love, and I am in love with those things. So.